Hello and welcome to another Dread Tidings Doctor Who type review of the last few episodes.
Stop! What do you mean stop? Stop the review! Why? Because you were supposed to do me this week. You were supposed to review Skeletor.
Well, I thought about that, but I'm going to do Doctor Who instead.
That's not fair.
Life isn't fair, Skeletor. You're going to have to realise that once in a while. In fact, I would have thought you'd realise that with He-Man.
Got to keep bringing that up, don't you? Every time. Look, you review me this week, and every week, because I'm Skeletor, the Lord of Destruction, motherfucker!
I can't review you every week, Skeletor.
Why not?
Because I only have 2 of you at the moment.
Well, get more.
I'm not going to do that.
Well, you should.
Well, I might. For now, I will review you this week.
Yes! Victory for Skeletor!
I'm wearing a hoodie. I'm wearing a hoodie. I'm wearing a hoodie. Ha ha ha, it's blue! I'm wearing a hoodie. I'm wearing a hoodie. I'm wearing a hoodie. You can wear one too. When I sit on my throne, this is what I do. Die. Ruling over He-Man while I'm decked out in blue. I got He-Man in my grasp. And this time I will not blow it. Blow it. I will not blow it. What? I'm evil and I know it. Yeah.
Okay. So, it looks like we're going to be reviewing Skeletor this week. Sorry, folks, who were expecting a Doctor Who type of episode, but that will definitely come next week. I do promise you. I'm going to do it all in one block up to sort of the last half of the season. So it might be a long video next week, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. In the meantime, yes, we're going to be having a look at Skeletor. And yes, look, he's made me wear this. Come on now. Come on, Skeletor. I can't do much more than this for you. But there you go. Masters of the Universe Classic Skeletor, which is a great figure. We'll have a look at him a bit more in detail later on. But first, let's have a little sort of stroll down the memory lane of Skeletor, shall we? As we all know, Masters of the Universe came out in 1982, and his main He-Man's main enemy was, of course, Skeletor, the Lord of Destruction. Originally supposed to be a guy called Demo Man or something like that. You can see it in certain sort of Bibles and things like that for the Toyland when it first came out. And they Mattel a Masters of the Universe figure of Demo Man, who was supposed to be sort of the first real big villain for He-Man, but obviously it sort of fell apart, and what came out of it was this guy, Skeletor. Now in the mini comics, he had a different sort of origin. He was part of a attack force from a different dimension. They named it Infinita in some continuities there. But yeah, that's what he was supposed to be originally. He was supposed to be part of an invading force from another dimension, coming to Returnia to gain the secrets of Castle Grayskull, and then obviously take over the universe from there. In Filmation, they sort of went a different route. You never really got a full and concise origin story for Skeletor. What is known pretty much is that he was a pupil of Hordak who went rogue and just decided to go out on his own, get rid of Hordak, and then try and take Eternia over himself. So that's pretty much Filmation. He was a threat for the first season of Filmation cartoon stuff. Might not be the popular opinion, but it's true. You watch episodes like the Cosmic Comet Disappearing Act and things like that. Skeletor was a nasty piece of work, and Skeletor was a character that really would treat people like dirt to get what he wanted, and had no problem trying to kill people. In season 2, admittedly, that got toned down a bit. I don't think Mattel had anything to do with that. I think it was just a natural progression for the character. If you get a character that consistently fails on every level, says he's going to do something and doesn't do it, then that character is going to soften or become less of a threat, or less of a credible threat anyway. And almost a figure of fun. It's happened in quite a few franchises of the 80s. Mumra it was actually brought up in a sort of very meta way. The ancient spirits of evil said, hang on a minute, you're rubbish. You keep saying that you're going to do this stuff and you never do. It happened in G.I. Joe with Cobra Commander. He was actually ousted in season 2 in favour of Serpentor. They realised at the end of season 2 they made a huge mistake, but that's not the point. You know, and it happened in various other franchises. Even Megatron was ousted at the end of season 2. You know, to make way for Galvatron. Admittedly, that was to sell toys, but I guess you could also say Megatron had sort of outlived his usefulness on that front. So Skeletor softened in season 2, especially in the Christmas special. You know, where to be fair, I think it's his magnum opus. I think you can't get better Skeletor than that, because I always see Skeletor as a sort of even a petulant child. He doesn't get his way, he's going to scream and shout about it, and he's going to really sort of make your life a misery. But certainly in season 1, he was a big threat to He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Now that's Filmation Skeletor, voiced ably by Alan Oppenheimer. And let's face it, in our head, that's the voice we always hear for Skeletor. Even people like Brian Dobson in 2000X decided to use a Skeletor-ish Alan Oppenheimer type voice for Skeletor. Which was great, I think, because it was enough to be an homage and just enough not to be even more threatening, because 2008 Skeletor is quite scary. I think so, anyway. But he wasn't the only Skeletor kicking around on the 80s. You also had Golden Book Skeletor. If you check any of those out on YouTube or on When the Music Stops and Back to the 80s, you will see he's almost the same. Because of the nature of Golden Books and read-along tapes, he wasn't much of a credible threat, it has to be said. I'm going to destroy you, He-Man. I didn't. Oh, well, never mind. Let's go home. That's very much the sort of tone for the Golden Books ones. The other read-along ones that you had were these ones, the Pickwick Telltale He-Man Ladybird books and tapes. How much that you get in there. Now, these, to begin with, took a very different viewpoint of Masters of the Universe. And Skeletor was a very big threat. A huge threat, in fact. And he would pose languidly in poses like this, for instance. Which I love. He's just sort of leaning in his chair. He had slaves called Skelcons. I think they're called Skelcons in this one. But he had various ones. Skelecons, I think he had. He had the cave beasts. But he would do heinous things like kidnap Stratus's wife and generally seek to kill her. I really love the Masters of the Universe books because they take it sort of between the mini-comics and Filmation, basically. Again, there's Skeletor, you know. Very much the credible threat. And he had a great voice as well because it wasn't much like Alan Oppenheimer. It was a lot more like this. I will destroy He-Man. Even falling down, the motherfucker looks cool. Look at him. But that was Wings of Doom. Now, in He-Man and the Lost Dragon, Skeletor wasn't the only villain at all, because you got this guy who's very Filmation in that shot. I don't know if you can see that. So, you know, the Masters of the Universe. Look at that. Look at that. Look at how cool that is. Yeah, certainly in the Ladybird books, the continuity ended up following very Filmation lines. She-Ra didn't, actually. I've been listening to a lot of the She-Ra ones on MP3, and they very much take the toy line. So Hordak's in a couple of them, Shadowweaver's in a couple of them, but mainly the main villain is Catra, who was supposed to be the villain in the toy line, which I think is sort of insanely cool, as well as a bit lame. You've also got this guy, and the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe annual. This is Skeletor in a different continuity. These were kind of a bit harder edged. These didn't take Filmation cues at all. These took very much the Bible for Masters of the Universe, and also quite mini-comic-y. So there's a lot of text stories which are quite mini-comic-y. Now this picture here is amazing. I love that so much. The picture of Skeletor there is cool and sort of merman. Amazing. This is what I remember to be He-Man and Masters of the Universe. The cartoon, yes, definitely, but also very much so this kind of stuff. You know, where Skeletor was very much a credible threat, very menacing, didn't treat people with respect at all, and was quite frankly just sort of kill you as soon as look at you. Again, the picture there of him and Trapjaw is amazing. So Skeletor is, you know, he's a bit of a strange character, because on one hand you've got the Filmation Skeletor, which is cool and all. Obviously everybody loves that Skeletor. And then on the other hand you've got this other Skeletor who's a lot harder edged and not so played for laughs sometimes. Because Skeletor admittedly was played for laughs. You know, he even is in here. Look at that. But he was also very cruel and very nasty and a really horrible piece of work. So yeah, I mean, I like both iterations of Skeletor there. But probably for my money, the best non-Filmation Skeletor is from the Masters of the Universe by Kid Stuff or Spot Records. It's an adventure called Masters of the Universe. It's written by John Braben, and it literally is it's a record. For, you know, those who don't know what that was, it was a piece of vinyl that you put music on, and it's a record. And I've gone on about this so much in the podcast, but it really is one of my favourite iterations of Skeletor, because he is bloody scary in that he has a voice like that. He does not camp it up, but he is rather shouty sometimes, and then low other times, like he should be. By this time tomorrow, Castle Grayskull will be mine! 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 That's what he says. That's actually verbatim. And he's terrifying. He's really scary. And he's quite happy to kill He-Man. He mentions quite a few... Here's a line in it. You'll die, you fool. You'll die! And, you know... Oh, I love this Skeletor. He's such a great Skeletor, and everything I imagine the mini-comic Skeletor to be. Not campy at all. Because everybody knows Filmation Skeletor's campy. And even the most die-hard He-Man and the Masters of the Universe Filmation fan is going to say they camped him up a little bit. They had to. It was a very little kids show. Whereas the mini-comics didn't have that stipulation. They didn't have that responsibility. Anybody could read it, and you know, it was encouraged to be sort of 10-year-old boys, and 10-year-old boys like a bastard, essentially. So yeah, that's Skeletor. I mean, my love for him knows no bounds. It's just a character I like. He was my first proper villain of any kind. We've been talking about this, a couple of us, like Matt and Phil, and a few other people that I know, about Masters and sort of where it takes place in our childhood, and you know, it's quite simple. Masters was my first toy love. You know, I go on about Transformers a lot. I love Transformers. I will always love Transformers, but really Masters was my first. That's what broke my duck, as it were. They were the toys I got mainly throughout my childhood, more than Transformers even. And it's a case of, I don't know, you forget about Masters a little bit as you get older, and Transformers becomes cooler again. And I think it is just a case of, to sort of not brand recognition as such, it's brand transparency, or, you know, Transformers has been seen a lot more over the years than maybe He-Man has. Transformers never really died. Masters died of death in about 1988, really, if we're being honest, and it's come back again and again, but it's never really sort of had the success that Transformers had. It's a crying shame, but I can sort of understand the reasons why. But you know, I will always love Masters of the Universe, and thank God for the internet, really. Thank God for me finding like-minded people who like this kind of stuff, because I have found a place with people like that who, you know, not everybody I know likes Masters, but enough of the people I know do to, you know, keep that nostalgia flame alive in me. And certainly, you know, Roll Out Roll Call and Twins of Power, I'm very much looking forward to the Twins of Power, especially so I can talk to people like James E. Tockett and people like that who sort of, they get it. They get Masters like I do. So yeah, but yeah, so Skeletor was my first proper villain, aside from like sort of Doctor Who villains. So I will always have a special place in my heart for the big guy. He is really cool, and I love him so. But enough of that sappy crap, because I'm sure he wouldn't appreciate it. Here we have Skeletor, the evil version of Jack Skellington. A lot like his original iteration in the original line. He takes a lot of visual cues, and it's so nostalgic and amazing to have him. Well, we'll take all his accoutrements off first. Havoc staff and whatnot. Come on now, Skeletor, let go. So yeah, it's a standard Masters of the Universe figure. You know, you've got the arms that are Skeletor arms, but have been used for so many other figures. You've got the legs, which are Skeletor legs, but again have been used for people like Merman and all that kind of stuff, Zodak and whatnot. But what makes this, you know, are the head, which, to be fair, this isn't actually the Masters of the Universe Classics first iteration. This is the SDCC Robot Chicken one with a different head. But it's essentially the same. So I've got to thank Mr. Chris Vint for giving me this for bloody nothing really, for bloody pennies. So you've got this figure, you've got the head which comes off, but I'm not going to take it off today. Yeah, so the original head is one with the tooth missing. It's the molar one. I didn't want that. That's on my Battle Armor Skeletor, but I need another head. So if anybody at Twins of Power has a spare Skeletor head knocking about, please do. Otherwise, I'll just buy another Skeletor. It doesn't really matter to me. But yeah, this is the SDCC version, but it's essentially the same bloody thing. So the head, obviously, is the Skeletor head, and how can you not love that head? It's a floating skull, for Christ's sakes. He's so amazing. The armour on him, or the clothes, I suppose, the tunic, is, you know, essentially Skeletor. It's just brilliant. It's got the skull and crossbones in the middle there. It's got the little sort of bat symbol, which would eventually become sort of this horde recognition symbol. I don't know. He's got his little flappy samurai piece at the front there, which is really cool. I think so anyway. He's got his furry pants. Black furry pants, obviously, and he's got what I call the Skeletor feet. Now, in the Filmation cartoon, he didn't have these; he had just normal boots, because I'm guessing they're easier to animate. But this, to me, is Skeletor legs. This is what I played with as a kid. This is what I had. This is what I love. It's just a cool figure. It's just something about Skeletor. It's the colours. It's the blue and the purple and the black of his pants and his yellow face, which just pops so much, and his red eyes there. Just so amazing. Such a great figure to be able to have and to hold. Articulation, you know, his head goes around 360, his arms go up, down, all around, whatever you want them to do, really. Really, really nice. He's got bicep swivel, he's got elbows, and his wrists turn. He's got the ab crunch at the butt there. He's got his waist swivel. His legs do whatever you want him to do. They go in and out and round, nice ball joints and everything. He's got a nice knee swivel, and he's got the boot cut swivel, as we all know, and his ankles are on rockers. So you can get some good poses out of this guy. Again, brilliant. He comes with his half of the power sword, his purple sword, which a lot of people probably don't use. I do like having him with it. Frankly, I like having it on his person at the very least, because again, it reminds me of this. Reminds me of this. I do like having a Skeletor with one half of the power sword. It just reminds me of being a kid and having that in my play patterns. You know, it's a really cool thing to have. So I do like that. The other thing I like is obviously his Havoc staff, which is very well detailed. Not sure if you can actually see it on this camera, which is a shame. But it's got so many details, little cracks in it, little hairline fractures. And it just looks so cool. And it's long, it's a bloody long piece, and it's thick plastic as well. So it's not as flimsy as the original toy one, which always, when you see it, is always bent and warped and curved. So there you have Skeletor, just looking so cool. I love this figure so much. I'm so happy to have it, and I'm so happy to have him with this guy. If I can get him out without breaking anything. I'm so happy to have him with Panther. Because it just looks cool to be with Panther. It's what I had as a kid. It's the figure as it was when I was a kidlet. So to have him together with Panther, it just looks so cool to be together. And yes, I do have Panther's helmet on. I really do like Panther's helmet. It looks epic and barbarian-y and nasty, and yeah, it looks cool. I'm really loving this toy, and I'm really loving having Skeletor. So thank you very much again to Chris. Damn it, I love Skeletor. Anybody who's watching this video now will be thinking, man, he really likes Skeletor, doesn't he? Yes, I really do. He's one of my favourite characters of all time. And yeah, if you can get your hands on these things, or the MP3s, if you want them, if you want the MP3s, you can either listen to when the music stops on Back to the 80s, or you can maybe have a word with me. I don't know. I might have them somewhere. I don't know. So yeah, I shall be back anyway. I've done it now. You happy? Are you happy? He says, talking to a toy. So yeah, I'll be back next week with the Doctor Who episode that I've been promising for about 3 weeks now. Sorry about that. But until then, obviously, like, subscribe, tell your friends about this channel, and obviously Roll Out Roll Call will be in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks' time, it'll probably be pretty much over. So, you know, it's coming up very, very quickly now. I'm really hella looking forward to it and to seeing all of you. So come up and say hello if you see me. Until next time, I shall be Dreadwind over the next week on Twitter, on Back to the 80s, on Facebook, everywhere you like. Give us a bell, drop us a line. Take care for now. Bye bye.
It was nice of you to save Relay, Mr. Skeletor.
I am not nice.